Welcome to RonnieAlong.com. This is definitely one of the more arbitrary episodes, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's, like I said, this is available as a podcast, but mostly I syndicate this on YouTube. So it's YouTube commenting writing is really what we're going to be getting into. But I have a reason for it, so wait around for that. And by that, I mean in the next few minutes or seconds, because it's going to get cleared up really quick. Yes, of course it is. It's completely writing, but it's also in the sense of what this channel means. I'm talking about putting your words into a context that lasts, that is a little more longer term in terms of how it's kept. When you put your words in a book, it's like you put them in a beautiful tomb, especially if you've organized your stuff well and you presented it really well. But YouTube commenting, I'm using that specifically just because it's the context here. It it dies out. It dies with YouTube. It doesn't really go far. Yeah, it has your name on it, but maybe it just has a screen name. I'm saying that the context isn't controlled by you, and there's a clear distinction there, wherein you're also engaged in a very active dialogue where someone can comment back, someone can like your comment. In a book, you're not holding the book and you get these like thumbs up that appear on it in real time, in real life, in a one that you'd be holding on your own. The idea of writing is that it kind of it stands on its own. It creates its own sort of exaltation, and not exaltation in terms of it being better, but it's somewhere else. Everything, all the rest of the discussion is here, and when you write a book, you're up here, and there's nothing anything down here can really do to that. Because if someone wants to come up to your level of discussion, they got to up their game too and write a book as well in response to you. It's kind of hard to tackle something like that with just a couple of comments. Your comment is it can be valuable. It can challenge stuff. It can start a discussion, a dialogue. But I really like to think of it this way: if you really had a problem with something, what would stand out more? A YouTube comment or a whole book against this person or thing? That's why you don't really see, oh, this person has released a new book, just tearing apart this insert concept, insert person, whatever. Because it takes a certain amount of dedication, a certain amount of yourself that you're giving. Whereas a comment is more just something spontaneous, something you kind of throw away. If YouTube didn't give you notifications that someone responded to them, they'd be even more lost. And if you have a very active account, if you're very popular on YouTube or whatever platform, you won't even get the responses, the notifications, because there's just too many. You won't care. You won't be able to keep up with them. So as a whole, people abandon their accounts, all that kind of stuff. It's too dynamic. I want you to create that distinction. The YouTube comment it's kind of static. It's limited. It's stuck in this little place beneath the video. It's a clear example of how a word can have a very similar definition but mean something completely differently. Yeah, I'm gonna write a YouTube comment. Yeah, I'm gonna write a book. Yet where I'm writing them makes all the difference. How I'm presenting them makes all the difference. What kind of things do you usually find in the YouTube comment section? Sometimes little helpful quips of advice, stuff like that. Sometimes on certain parts of the internet, you'd find just these horrendous. I don't want to call them that. I mean, it's just people letting loose, just being themselves. Maybe they had a bad day or something, and they're just really mad, and they let it out through their comment. Something like that. Like, it doesn't represent them fully. Your YouTube comments really don't represent yourself in a clear way, in a way that is usually thought out as much as, say, a book would be, or let's say you wrote an essay, something like that would be. So I really think it's important for anyone to understand that where you write, not necessarily, oh, I'm writing on a paper, I'm writing on a piece of cardboard, I'm writing on the back of a napkin. Not that sense. I mean, where you're putting your words also is very important to what your writing is going to mean. There's certain limitations too. I mean, I physically cannot write a book in a YouTube comment section. I cannot put as many words as I would need or want to in that little box. And it implies certain things. It implies there was no editing. It implies there was no thought, but really surrounding how it would be. Like, there's not even the question of distribution. It's distributed to the comment section, which is what a lot of people do when they convey their ideas on social media platforms. They limit their voice into a very selective vacuum. It's like this chamber, And when you limit yourself, when you put yourself into a chamber, you got to know what's going on, and you got to be aware that you don't give too much of yourself to these things. If you would hope that if you're providing something to someone, that it has more of like a chain reaction effect. But if you're using YouTube to tear things down in the comment section, it's just not very productive. It's not a good use of your time. Sometimes people react very vehemently to things, very vocal to certain things, and so they'll go ahead and talk about them and go off on a comment or on a post, and it's not really where you want to be directing your energy. If you have strong reactions to things, I think that's amazing. I think that's great. So it kind of makes me sad sometimes when I see people waste all that energy on a YouTube comment, on a social media comment. Go write something about it. Use that, channel that, because not a lot of people have that. That's just the truth. And I don't always say that, but not a lot of people have that kind of desire to say something or ability to have such a strong emotional response to stimuli, to communication, to things like that, of that nature. So if you're responding and reacting naturally, if you have this, gut reaction, this like knee-jerk reaction to, content, to things that are happening in the world, and it's just really consuming you enough to just write and go off there, save that. Don't use it in the comment section. That's gonna die. It's like you're speaking into a void, because that's really essentially what's gonna happen. There's places you can come from, and if you're coming from a place where you just want to help someone out, here's something that can really assist you and help you go in the right direction. Cool. A comment goes a long way in that sense. But again, if you are having these kind of revelations or realizations, you're probably your best interest is going to be to put these in a book, write them in a notebook. I mean, just get them ready, get them in a place where it's collected, where it's yours, where you control the aspects around it. Otherwise, where is that energy going? You're just feeding it into this nothingness. You're feeding it into this chamber. You're setting yourself up for something not so great either, because that you're not doing the best service you can to yourself, to your message, to your media. And not everyone has that level of message, that what they want to say, but there are people who do. There are people who feel really strongly about things. Stop wasting your energy on social media comments, on YouTube comments, because it's a waste, not just of your time, it's a waste of your life. But sometimes it's necessary, and you just need to realize it after a while. Like, why am I dedicating so much of myself to this? It's not really getting me anywhere. And then you get a response. Look at the YouTube comment section of some of the most innocent videos. I feel like if cancer was cured tomorrow, and anybody who knows oncology knows that kind of stuff it's not so clear cut. You don't cure cancer, right? But some treatment was super effective, and you get some like war going on in the comment section about something completely unrelated, and it's like, what? People remember YouTube used to have the thumbs down bar. It's the same kind of thing, except that it's just a click. But using your words, YouTube removed the thumbs down, but they didn't remove negative comments, because it's free form. You can utilize it however you want. But again, it's already inherently beneath. It's below the video. Then YouTube doesn't put the comments above the video. If you're doing a live stream, they'll put them on the side. That has significance. That has meaning. That's like, there's an imperative there. There's a visual cues that are occurring, and it's very purposeful. But again, if you feel strongly about things and you're reacting to things on the internet, let that build up. Let that build into something, and not just a vain act of some crazy act of violence or something like that. I mean, put it on the page. Make it into something that's powerful. That's something that you can't really get from anywhere else. Feel it within you. Feel these reactions brewing in you, and understand that, I can direct these to something. I can move these thoughts and ideas onto the page. Maybe even into a book. Maybe I reacted so strongly to this, I'm going to write a book about it. Like, why is this a thing in the world? A lot of YouTube videos now are very, they're so varied. It's so accessible. YouTube is ingrained into the public culture. Everything, everyone knows it. Everyone can access it. It's like a public forum. Ancient civilizations had these places where people can meet and commingle, and this is where stuff happened. This is where sales went down. This is where arguments happened. This is where social progress was instigated. And it's literally called a forum online. There was that era of the internet where you make your account and it's anonymous, but you can put a picture. And now it's those are kind of dying out because they were accessible, but for the less tech savvy people, YouTube is just so much easier to use. And as it should be, a forum should be a place you can just walk into. And YouTube is still on its way to getting to that point. But I'm saying don't waste your message on the forum. Yes, I titled this episode, is YouTube commenting writing, but I mean the concept of the forum in general, this community that will exist and evolve. It won't always look like, a little rectangle video and, text underneath. It's going to change. It's already changing. 10 years from now, the internet is going to look very different. Interconnectedness is going to look very different, but the message is going to be the same here, which is don't give your message away into a void. There's nothing wrong with having strong, negative reactions that are in opposition to things, but know your context, or else you're going to give yourself away and you're going to have nothing left for yourself because you're going to become discouraged just automatically, just out of instinct. Check out How to Write a Book in 30 Days on my website, writingalong.com, completely free. Let it haunt your inbox and remind you to write your book because you can. All right, I'll see you around, and thanks for tuning in on this episode. Don't waste your message.